Jacksonville.
Fires to the corner of the end zone. That ball is going to be caught for the touchdown.
Miami.
The electrifying hill! Wow! And they're dancing early in South Florida.
Today, 1 Eastern on CBS.
Jags and Dolphins scheduled to take the field at 1 p.m. over on CBS. Can't wait for it. Time right now for What's Your Beef, brought to you by our good friends over at Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Kyle, what is your beef about the Jaguars and the Dolphins?
Usually it's offensive linemen I have a beef about. Maybe people aren't giving them the respect or the notoriety that they deserve. But since 2021, Evan Ingram came over for the New York Giants, and he has had career highs in receptions and receiving yards for Jacksonville. And last year, if you take a look at his numbers, he was one of the most explosive tight ends in the National Football League. He's a true safety blanket for Trevor Lawrence. I think going into this season, when you talk about some of the best tight ends in the National Football League, a lot of folks, probably including ourselves, would forget to put Evan Ingram on the list. So tune in to Evan Ingram and the Jacksonville Jaguars, because he is going to have another monster year for Jacksonville. I think he could match the numbers from last year.
You are always beefing with somebody, Kyle. For me, I'm looking at this as such a huge season for Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars, but also Dougie P. and Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, who they still are not saying who is calling plays. Now, let's rewind 2 years ago where it was Doug Peterson who was calling the plays, and the Jaguars had the 10th best offense and 10th in points as well. Last year, it was Press Taylor calling the plays, and they slipped to 13th in both categories. But Trevor Lawrence was injured for the second half of the season, hardly practiced, probably shouldn't have played a couple of those games. And so this is a huge year, obviously, for Doug Peterson, but also Press Taylor. If he shows out, if he is the play caller this season, and I kind of lean toward him being so, you could actually see him in some head coaching conversations once we get a couple months down the road.
I'm worried about Miami's ability to get to the quarterback. Only 3 players who had 2 sacks or more a year ago will be available. Christian Wilkins is gone. Andrew Van Ginkel is gone. Bradley Chubb is starting the season on the PUP. Linebacker Emmanuel Ogbah and D-tackle Zach Sealer will be available. Jalen Phillips technically is, but again, he had that Achilles in November, so he will be on a snap count. Everyone needs to get to the quarterback, and I don't know how Miami's going to do it.
I'm fired up for Trevor Lawrence this year, and you reference the dudes that they have and the coaching that they have, JJ. I think Trevor Lawrence is a great player. You almost got to jog the mental Rolodex. Remember, before that aforementioned injury that Jonathan mentioned, the Jags were 8-3.
Yep.
They were en route to getting the 1 seed. I think with Brian Thomas, perfect pick, to Kyle's point on Evan Ingram, with Travis Etienne running the football, with Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk, this offense is going to be excellent. There is a high expectation for the Jacksonville Jaguars to make the playoffs, and I think it's going to happen. Texas.
Dang right, Adam Schefter.
AFC South showdown. And A.J. Ross caught up with Indy head coach Shane Steichen.